very honored to have with us General Khalil Helou, retired from the Lebanese Armed Forces. General, it's a pleasure to have you today. Thanks for being here.
The pleasure is mine.
So, the war, Middle East, you're in Lebanon, you're in Beirut. As the audience knows, there was an attack against Iran. However, now Israel is taking action against Lebanon. So overall, let me just ask you this. Overall, how do you feel about the war? Do you feel that this conflict is justified and it was the right thing to do by the Americans and the Israelis?
Well, sir, at my age, I am already 70 years old. I have lived the last 50 years of my life, in wars, starting from 1975. Different wars we had here. So I'm not going to tell you that we are happy or that we are used to wars, but a big part of the Lebanese population, a large part of the Lebanese population is concerned, is not concerned about the is concerned about being kicked out from the Middle East. In Lebanon, you have a lot of minorities. You have Christians, you have Sunnis, you have Shia, Druze. So all these are minorities in Lebanon. All of them are minorities. There is no majority in Lebanon. And every now and then, one of these majorities feel that it is targeted, that feels unsecure. Now, overall, the Iranian presence through their proxies and their allies in Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, and so on, were a real concern to the Lebanese. Now, I'm not going to go into the Lebanese internal politics. It is complicated. But what I can tell you is that the ally of Iran in Lebanon, Hezbollah, is armed since 1982. It's been 44 years. They created a state in the state. They have their own financial network. They have their own economical parallel economy to the Lebanese economy, and so on. So when this war started, a lot of people I will say, I will not say they are happy, but they feel comfortable that Iran is targeted, because the Iranians are in a way or another controlling the state in Lebanon, because they have allies that are represented in the parliament, that are represented in the government. So they have a veto on every decision, and Lebanon has been sanctioned by the international financial systems because of Iran. So we are not unhappy because Iran is targeted. But we hope that this conflict will have a happy end. At least will end in a way where things will be re-equilibrated again in Lebanon. So this is how we feel.
Well, I've lived in Lebanon for a long time. Beautiful country, great people, and as you said, I mean, there've been ongoing conflicts for years, especially between Hezbollah and Israel. And there's been Israel has done everything that they can do, and there's a UN peacekeeping force there that's supposed to be trying to deal with this issue. But I mean, honestly, it's all has failed. I mean, what I understand now is that the goal of Netanyahu and Israel is to completely disarm Hezbollah.
To answer, because let's be okay, or let's agree on what does it mean by disarming Hezbollah. It doesn't mean that when we see a Hezbollah guy passing by and we take his weapon and we arrest him. This is not, I'm talking about the Lebanese army. The issue is that Hezbollah should dismantle its military structure. This is not only an Israeli request or an international request. It is a request of all the Lebanese that are not supporting Hezbollah, because since Israel withdrew from Lebanon in 2000, from 26 years, Hezbollah has no business anymore. Hezbollah were pretending that they were fighting for liberation of South Lebanon from Israeli occupation, that was lasting from 1978, since 1978. Okay, so Israel withdrew completely in 2000. Well, no business in keeping the weapons. A majority of Lebanese were asking the Lebanese government. Of course, Lebanese government was didn't have the enough strength in order to disarm Hezbollah. But this is a Lebanese request. So now you to go back to your question, how could Hezbollah be disarmed? I don't think that the air campaign of Israel on Hezbollah will finish by will have an issue by disarming Hezbollah, because as far as Hezbollah doesn't disarm voluntarily and accepts to integrate the Lebanese state, because you know the Shia population in Lebanon, they are approximately between 25 and 30% of the population, and they are represented in the parliament with 27 member of parliaments. This is a quota that they will always have. On 128 Lebanese member of parliaments, there are 7 Shia, and all of them are Hezbollah supporters. So this is a guarantee, and another guarantee is that they have 2 ministers within the government that is composed of 26 ministers, and they are present in the Lebanese administration. They are even present in the Lebanese armed forces. I'm not talking about Hezbollah. Hezbollah, of course, is not there, but I'm talking about the Shia. The Lebanese Shia are within these. So these are guarantees that Hezbollah, I think this is the plan B of Hezbollah. Hezbollah, as far as Israel is bombarding and they are refusing to disarm and pretending to resist and so on, they will not do it. But the internal Lebanese pressure on them, and there is a pressure, there is a political pressure. You have at least 41 members of the parliament who are asking, frankly, the disarmament. The Lebanese president yesterday talked about that. Half of the ministers at least. So this internal pressure combined to the US support for this and combined, unfortunately, to the Israeli bombardment, maybe could push them in a way to accept to disarm and to give the opportunity to the Lebanese state in order to spread the Lebanese sovereignty all over the Lebanese territory in a way that the Lebanese institutions and the Lebanese government be the sole, let's say, the sole decision maker in foreign policy, in defense policy, and I think that this will be the best way. Now, are we realistic when we think this way? I think there is no other alternative. Otherwise, the war will be an endless war in Lebanon. Israel will every now and then bombard Hezbollah. Hezbollah will get profit of the calm in order to reorganize, rearm, and getting financed from supporters, and it will never finish. And it is lasting this way since 44 years. So it should see. I think that the Shia population today are now displaced in Lebanon. You have 700,000 people who have been displaced. This is a huge proportion of the Lebanese population that is about 5 million. They have been displaced from South Lebanon. South Lebanon is almost empty. The southern suburbs of Beirut are almost empty. And this population now is getting refuge in the Christian areas and in the Sunni areas. So I think that with time, this population will have a breakthrough, a break point or a breakthrough at a certain moment where they will say, okay, let the Lebanese state take in charge everything. Let's go back to our homes. Let's reconstruct what has been destroyed. I don't see another issue. I don't see at all another alternative other than an endless war.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I think you're spot on all that, and I think that what's different now, in my opinion, than in the past, is that Prime Minister Netanyahu has the full unconditional support of the American government in disarming Hezbollah. No matter what the rest of the international community thinks about. I mean, so I do believe that that the Israelis are ready for once and for all to disarm Hezbollah. And you mentioned President Aoun yesterday speaking out against the Lebanese. Excuse me, against Hezbollah and disarming them, which is unusual in many ways. But let me ask this question. Many people around the world ask, why doesn't the Lebanese armed forces get involved in disarming Hezbollah?
Well, for a non-Lebanese, it is very complicated to understand. Lebanon is a very complicated country. We are 18 different communities and we are living together. There is a mistrust between all these communities, and people like me, very modestly, are deploying a lot of efforts in order to rebuild confidence. So let's go back to your question now. Now, the Lebanese armed forces are composed of the same mosaic as the Lebanese population. You have Christians, you have Sunnis, you have Shia, you have Druze, you have Alawites, you have Orthodox, you have Catholics, you have every community, 18 communities. Now, the problem is that on the government level, it is true that the government took a decision to disarm Hezbollah on the 5th of August 25. Nevertheless, Hezbollah publicly declared that they refused to disarm, and their ministers withdrew from the government's meeting when this decision has been taken. So, and I think that the president didn't push sufficiently in order to get things implemented on the ground 7 months ago. So because he is the supreme commander of the Lebanese armed forces. So the political problem that is lasting since decades cannot be solved militarily only. You cannot charge the Lebanese armed forces solely in order to take decisions on the ground. And let me put a figure. Let's suppose that the Lebanese army is deploying in my square now, and that there is Hezbollah guys or a small squad of Hezbollah that refuses to get off and to give the weapons. So will they open fire or no? So if they open fire, it will have huge political consequences. This is why I personally have remarks on our president and our prime minister, because they have to call for a permanent meeting of the High Council of Defense. This is in our constitution. So the High Council of Defense is composed of the president, the prime minister, and several other ministers, and they can call the commander-in-chief of our army and make him sit or send some representatives in order to sponsor every meter where the Lebanese army puts its boots. So this is what should be done, and this is what a lot of people are asking for here. So the problem is not the LAF. You cannot take the LAF, the Lebanese Armed Forces, as an independent entity from the Lebanese state. It's not logical in any country in the world. So the responsibility is not the army. The responsibility is the president. Finally, yesterday, he took a clear position where he wants to negotiate with Israel, and he asked for France and the U.S. in order to be the go-between and to prepare for this meeting. But I think that the Israelis, for the time being, they have the upper hand, and they feel that this window of opportunity, unfortunately, this window of opportunity will not last forever. So I think that they will act, and they are already acting since several months ago. But they intensified their military action recently during the past week. Very intensive bombardments on southern suburbs of Beirut, South Lebanon, the northern Bekaa Valley, where Hezbollah strongholds are present. So, and now today they operated an incursion in South Lebanon. They already were occupying five hills since the end of the past war, and now they are present in 12 positions, and they advance toward the corridor that links South Lebanon to the Bekaa Valley. So I think that this indicates that a ground operation is underway, not today, not tomorrow, because I don't think that they will do it in the same time of the Iran campaign. So because it will dispatch a lot of resources for this operation. But this operation is underway unless there is an intervention, U.S. intervention, in order to press the Israelis to negotiate with the Lebanese. Because, okay, maybe Hezbollah will be wiped out if this operation happens. I'm not sure, but maybe. But also the consequences on the rest of Lebanon, on the other parts of Lebanon, will be very dramatic from all point of views, because the 1 million Shia that a big part of them is supporter of Hezbollah. And I want here to open brackets to say that you have liberal Shias that are speaking very loudly and calling their community and their religious leadership and Hezbollah in order to integrate the Lebanese state. And these are very respectable personalities, university teachers, let's say the doctors, lawyers, and even ordinary people that are fed up with war. They want to live a normal life. So there is a huge part of the Shia that are liberal. Now, they are not a majority, but they will suffer like the others, because the 1 million people in Lebanon displaced in other regions, regardless of politics, regardless of religion, regardless of any belonging, it will create social tensions because of poverty that will follow, because of the criminality that will increase, because of a lot of factors. So an Israeli invasion will be very bad. If we can solve things peacefully in negotiations, and especially that the Lebanese government is under pressure, and mainly U.S. pressure, and also mainly internal pressure. The Lebanese media are very clear now. You have a lot of media saying Hezbollah, it's enough in Lebanon. And we are, when we speak like this, and I'm one of them, when we speak like this, we are threatened to be killed. We are, I will not go into details to tell you how they behave on the social media. They send to me, for example, pictures with my grandsons. So this is a signal telling me we can kill your grandsons if you continue this way. And this is not only me, it is dozens of public figures who are threatened on a daily basis. And Hezbollah already killed at least 12 high-ranked politicians, among them Prime Minister Hariri, among them 2 high-ranked officers. The last one was a Shia activist against Hezbollah. His name was Luqman Slim. He was a human rights activist. They killed him in his car in his region. And they killed also Muhammad Shatah, who was our ambassador in Washington, who was a very decent man, who was a man of peace, who was talking about the neutrality of Lebanon. And when he raised the neutrality of Lebanon, he was killed the second day. So Hezbollah kills. This is why the Lebanese will not be unhappy if we finish with the armed militia of Hezbollah. Now, they are free to go to political work, to political activity. No one will oppose them. But handling their weapons and facing the other Lebanese who are disarmed is not an easy thing, and they laugh, and the Lebanese security forces cannot protect everybody every time, all the time. It is a huge
Yeah.
work.
Well, listen, once again, I agree. It's a very, very complicated situation. Lebanon is one of the most politically and one of the most diverse countries I've ever lived in or worked in my entire life. And we only have about 30 seconds here, but what I want two things I want to follow up on is that a general, a mutual friend of ours, has always said that if the Lebanese armed forces got involved, there's about 20 to 30% of the LAF that would desert basically because they're not going to fight against Hezbollah. It's just the reality. They're not going to take up arms against their fellow Hezbollah. That's number one. But number two is my sad prediction is that, disarming Hezbollah, as you say, is not going to happen just by an air war. It's just not going to happen. And, the government there, I just honestly don't see that, Israel, as you said, has an upper hand. Israel has no reason to negotiate with anybody. I mean, they've made it very clear. And so they are on a mission to completely disarm Hezbollah. And sadly, Hezbollah has made it very clear and shown in the past that whatever they say about disarming, they're not going to do it. So I think we're at a stage where Israel is going to take a very massive, I hope I'm wrong, but I think that they're actually going to fully invade the country as much as they have to and take control in order to ensure that Hezbollah is disarmed. And so, listen, General, it's a great pleasure as always to have you. I know you're in a very difficult situation there, and I wish you all the best. I wish you to be safe. And
Thank you.
I hope,
May I have 2 seconds, a
yes,
few
please,
seconds?
please.
When you spoke about the desertion of Shia from the Lebanese army, this is unrealistic because I served in the army, and usually when we have a mission, a hard mission to do in a Sunni area, for example, we ask the soldiers who do not desire to participate in the mission, and they keep aside. They don't desert, and the same in other regions. And it already happened several times when we had huge missions to operate in Shia areas. In order not to embarrass the soldiers and the officers, we tell them, okay, you don't want to participate, okay, no problem. Keep aside, stay in barracks. There will be no desertion. Believe
No,
me, because
yeah, I agree. I agree. I think desertion was probably the wrong word. I think that you are correct. Lebanese armed forces are extremely well respected and one of the most respected entities in the entire country. So, no disrespect to the soldiers about desertion. The reality is that I do believe that the Lebanese armed forces would do it in a way that means that, but it does diminish sometimes the soldiers that you have to put on the front lines. Because of their unwillingness, correct, to fight against their fellow Shia or Hezbollah. So, but I duly noted. I appreciate you re-rectifying that or correcting me on that, General. So, anyway, thank you, General. Sadly, we have to go, but thank you for being on the show today. And as I said, stay safe, and I hope your grandchildren and everyone in your family stay safe, and we'll be in touch. Okay. Thank you, General.
thank
I
you,
appreciate it.
sir. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.